The theme for this was in all things, and it comes from Colossians 1:15-20. Paul writes, "He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. He is the head of the body of the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that everything he might be preeminent. For in him all the fullness of God was pleased to do well, and through him to reconcile himself in all things, whether on earth or in heaven, making peace by the blood of his cross." Houston's theme was in all things. That was message was over and over reinforced to these kids that in everything, God's there. If it's the mundane, if it's the spectacular, if it's the heartbreaking, if it's the absolutely exhilarating, God's there. I get teary-eyed thinking about it. The other thing that these kids were taught was, remember, as Christians, we know the beginning and we know the end. And the big thing these guys were informed of, and it was a secondary theme, was remember, you're in the middle. In all things that are happening to you and for you and around you, it's never the end, it's the middle. You will get through it because he is in all things. He's with you no matter what. And that was pushed unbelievably well by every volunteer there, every preacher, every deaconess, every speaker, everybody there. And these kids did an amazing job with that. So with that, I'd like them to present of what they got out of this week, their thoughts and views on it. I just want you to remember, you have an amazing group of kids here.
On the 7th, it was the first day, so we all met up in the church parking lot, and they had a bus, coach bus, that drove up, and basically the rest of the day we spent riding on that bus, taking stops at all of the different gas stations, and basically just giving us breaks, because it was a lot of sitting. A lot of sitting. We wore those Thriving shirts. They're very nice.
So the 8th day, so we got to Houston after the long strenuous trip on the coach bus, and we went to the aquarium where basically like all the Wisconsin district was there, and it was kind of like kind of like testing the waters with like the big group or big-ish group. Um, we saw some sharks there, and they're pretty cool. Um, I believe we wore that shirt right there, the district shirt. That one's all right.
So on July 9th, we ate Whataburger for breakfast after Rick picked up our van that had not enough seats. And then we visited the NASA Space Center in Houston, which was funded by the Grotke family. And that day we wore our macaroni and cheese, which Tristan edited Chris's face and Megan's face onto it. And then we went to the gathering's first mass event, and my favorite part of the gathering is the mass events where all the youth get together and worship Christ.
So on the 10th, we went to the interactive center for a little bit, and then we started some sessions where we saw this band called Remedy Drive and a nice comedian, and a nice illusionist. They were pretty cool. Then we went to the mass event, and this mass event was different than all the others, because in it they had a memorial video. In the memorial video, before the gathering, youth leaders would submit a picture and a name of all the people who had died since the last gathering. And it was a nice, sadly long video. And then after that, the service continued like normal, and we went back to our hotel. Did not go as planned. We get to our hotel at about 10:30 at night. Get nice stuck in an elevator in 100-degree weather with no air conditioning. Good thing Rick was there. He got us out.
So, the stuck in the elevator story. Like I said, God prepares you for all things. I have never done anything in an elevator other than go up and down in one until I became employed here at church. Luckily, our elevator has enough hiccups that I've learned to get around things. So when we got in the elevator, and keep in mind, we are the farthest hotel from it. We had a minimum of a 4.5 total mile walk every day, because it was a mile to the event center, mile back. We were all sweaty, cranky, tired, wanted to get home and go into the ice cooler and finally relax. Got in the elevator, hit the button, and it went down about 6 inches. Then it did nothing. And we sat and we pushed the bell, and the lobby is about from here to the office away. Nothing. We called. Yeah, we'll call maintenance. We'll get them there as soon as we can. Nothing. So finally, all my years of practice here paid off. The door got split open, and I realized we're only 6 inches from the lobby floor. Everybody get out. We got out. I let the door slam behind me, and from that point on, the rest of the week, we never went in elevator number 2, unless it was absolutely necessary. So that's the elevator story.
Okay, so on the 11th, we also saw Remedy Drive about 4 more times on accident because they were the opening acts for everything we went to, and so we kind of knew all the songs. We went to the first Bible study. Oh yeah, and we went to go watch this retired MLB pitcher. Who did he pitch for? I think the Astros. He pitched for a lot of teams, but mainly the Astros. Cool. But that really stuck with me because I got to choose that one, and I don't remember the last time I chose something at a youth event. And so I paid attention extra hard for that one. And we went to, a pastor that I actually know, kind of. My aunt's pastor was there from Milwaukee, and he talked about anxiety, which was good for all of us because I'm pretty sure like everybody in here deals with their own things. And we also listened to For King and Country, and that was pretty cool because that was in Minute Maid, right? Yeah, it was in Minute Maid, and it was just like this really cool concert because it was just different from the same people we listened to every night. Yeah. The t-shirt says, "Not all superheroes wear capes. Mine wore a cross."
Hello, I'm back again. So, the 12th, we spent basically wandering around the expo center, looking at all the different displays that people had set up. And then we also did a service project where we took a bunch of books that they had and then we put them in boxes, and those would be shipped out to people who didn't have books. I don't remember exactly. This day we wore Catch Up with Jesus shirt, which is ironic for me because I can't have ketchup. And I guess my main takeaway from this day was just do good. It felt good to help people.
All right, the final day. This was when we had the mass communion and the mass service. It was pretty cool seeing everyone, do like this like very holy thing at once. And then we packed our bags and made our long trip back to Wisconsin.
So the last day was on the bus, the last day. Like Rowan said at the beginning, it was a long 24 hours of sitting with the occasional hour of walking. And then we arrived back in Eau Claire, really late morning time, and that's about it. And now Tristan will tell you about our little friend.
Okay, so here's a backstory. When, like, I don't know, like 4 years ago, when my dad first got this job, I don't even know how long he's been here, but when my dad first got this job, he found all these creepy babies just, like, sitting in the church that, like, no kid was, like, playing with. So we thought it'd be funny if he took them and, like, hid them in my room for me to find. And so eventually I had, like, 6 or 7 laying around my room that I didn't realize. And I eventually got rid of most of them, but I kept this one just because it kind of stuck with me, So he kind of went everywhere with us. I just tucked him in my fanny pack. That was a little carrier. I named him after just my friend Averyon because I just think that's a funny name for a baby. The guy up there, that's the real Averyon, and the baby is not the real Averyon, just in case you were wondering. If I'm honest, that baby was probably made before I was born, so it's kind of confusing. And I don't know, it got kind of annoying to bring him around because I think Angie made a duct tape baby carrier that I still have laying around my room somewhere, and it like made like a rash on my neck, and it was just like a struggle to keep it with me at all times. But it was just kind of fun, like at the concerts when everybody was like waving their hands, I just had the baby up in the air and I was just kind of like waving them, or like the drums were like going crazy, and then I just had the baby and I was rocking them, and I wouldn't do that with an actual baby, so please don't think that. But yeah, that's about it. Just remember that's not a real baby.
I couldn't stand that baby. But that baby was a great icebreaker because as he had that thing around, he would start conversations with people that he would never talk to before, and it was awesome. So for that, I love that baby, but I'm glad I don't have to see that thing anymore. So in conclusion, I just want you to know that all of your generous fundraiser support, all of your gifts through everything, this is where it went. Thank you.